Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reality Realness with 3 S's. I'm your host, Chantele Francis, with Michelle, that couldn't even speak a word to me before we started this podcast. How are you doing, Michelle? What is going on? What is happening?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. I just finished the episode like 10 minutes ago, and I was it a terrible episode? No, it was actually a good episode as far as episodes go. But I am so enraged. I'm seething, and I'm not just seething because of the outcome, which is very sad, but just there were so many moments in this episode where I was just yelling at my television. So I'm sure we'll
Well,
the audacity is all I have to say.
The one that I need to just like bring up from the beginning, and we'll probably get even more so into it, is like if a Tori stan has anything to say, like at this point, they have no legs to stand on, because how she acted in this episode was infuriating. Being like, oh, do you know what? Like, I think that like we should throw ourselves in, because you haven't had to go into any sort of eliminations, and you hadn't have to prove yourself, and you won your season without having to going in. Excuse me? So the exact same gameplay that you play, Tori, that you're forcing him to play this season as well, is not now honorable, because now you have to decide between your two besties. Like,
I mean, it's Jordan too. I have just as much rage for Jordan in this episode, but everything that Danny has been speaking about, his fears, like leading up in these episodes, about like
they better not have anything to say. Yeah. Danny, I'm not a fan. I'm not a Tori fan. And I was starting to like her a little bit in season 38. And then by the end of it, I was off the liking her a little bit. When she first came onto the scene, I did like her when she was complete underdog, complete rookie, newbie to the challenge. I was on her side. And then her arc, I've not been a fan of. And this season, Danny, like, go on.
This is my thing. What I was going to say was like, the fears that he has been expressing that everyone's been hating on is like, my partner cares more about her other relationships more than she cares about us winning, and will put them ahead, especially Jordan, ahead of us actually winning, which is the opposite of what you're supposed to do in the game, and it's not honorable. We'll get into the whole honor, whatever. So now this episode is the proof is in the pudding. What does she want to do? She wants to throw their own team in.
Herself in. Like, get out of here.
She can't bear to have to vote them in again. She doesn't want to have to vote Troy Casey in again. She can't, whatever. It's like so hypocritical, and like it's so unfair. Like, he doesn't have those relationships, and you're now putting his game in jeopardy for that, and your own. And that's
the only reason why they probably haven't gone in is because of the relationships that they both have.
They both have. It's been equal. It's been helpful on both sides for them. 100%. They've been in such a good position, and I would have been fine if they had gone in. Obviously, like, I would be curious to see them in elimination. Like, that's fine. But when you don't have to be in one, and it's such a toss up, and like the one, like, I just could not with. Like, I've been saying this for weeks, that she will not put in 110% because she just won, and she doesn't care as much about winning that money and getting number one because she finally got her number
one. Well, we're probably going to come back to beat this dead horse over and over and over again, this recap. But we have some friends joining us on our little rant here today. So Dr. Phil's here. Willie, happy middle of the week. Absolutely. Happy Wednesday. Survivor Wednesday as well. Hi, Joanne. Lovable Nikki. Taj is also here. Hello, everybody. Hello, Danny. Thank you for popping in if you're still here. Yeah, wait, Tori, try. Yes. Like, it's like, shut up, Tori. Why are you trying to convince, like, there's no way that Danny was going to ever go along with this particular plan, and it's just like such an eye roll that she would even suggest it. It's so, I think it's just rude and kind of disrespectful. It's like, oh, you're my partner, but now you want me to prove to you that I deserve to be here? Like, get the F out of here. Like
Exactly.
we're playing a good game because we're not going down. Like if you're playing this exact same game last season, which you pretty much did, you went down once first episode, and then for the next 20 episodes, you
You
did
didn't
not
go
go
in, and
down.
that's how you won. Like,
Like shut up. And like
it's
the
the
one that she won
hypocrisy.
was like that they're standing on a maze, a table maze, and like it's like it wasn't something super difficult. It just like they were better than Sam and Casey and Kayla. And so it's like, why are you now punishing Danny for being your partner and for you guys having alliances that were allowing you guys to stay safe for the most of the season? Like,
It just
shut
proves even
up.
more that, like, if and when they are in the final, because let's be real, they don't have a, in my opinion, honestly, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't want spoilers, but I feel like they as like the strongest team, maybe have the least likely chance to win because they don't like, her head is not in the game in that way. She
Not
doesn't
at
have
all.
her head in the way she had it in with Devin. She doesn't have her head in the game in that way, and if you don't have that when it comes to a final, you're never going to win most like 9.5 times out of 10 because you need to have that extra push that's beyond physical ability. You need to have that like need and desire to win, and if you don't have that, you're probably not going to win. And at this point, all of the other teams have that more than she does. And as much as Jordan's trying to protect her as well and is being very, very annoying as well, when it comes down to the challenge, she's going to fight to win 1,000,000%. And she will not. And that's what makes the difference for me. But
Well, Crystal has a point that I was going to say. Yes, I'm over Tori and Jordan, like completely done, completely over. I
yes.
don't care about either of them. But it's kind of like Tori. I feel like Tori wishes she was playing this game with Jordan. Like I
Yeah.
feel like she wishes like that was who her teammate was because she
Well,
is
she's
doing,
acting like that's what it is.
and it's really, really irritating.
Yeah.
Like Kaz and Danny, that would have been a lovely, lovely pairing. I would have loved to see those two work together. Like, I don't, Tori and Jordan work together. You guys would probably be fighting all the time because Jordan actually isn't that great of a partner. He can be a real big dickhead sometimes. And so I think that would have been a better partnership. Danny, I'm so sorry that you got roped into being with Tori and having to experience this whole game with her because, in my opinion, it must not be fun. Well, let's just start talking about this episode. So it's called Cruel World, and I think it is called a cruel world because we had to endure it. TJ at the beginning of the episode says in his voiceover, 2 challenges left before the final. So then why at the end of the episode, when they're like, he's doing like a fake out that like, ooh, is it going to be the final or not? And it's like, well, you already told it's not going to be the final. So was it just for the contestants? Like they weren't even trying to fake us out to be like, oh, is the final starting next week? True. So we see Kiki and Darrell returning back to the house. Obviously, Troy is happy that Kiki is back. It just reminded me how sad I was about how like the season just went.
They had an opportunity, and if things were different and votes could be solo and different things like that, that move that happened before with that Kellyanne did, like that could have really had a lasting effect. But unfortunately, the pairs kind of, there was something they could do, and they got some really bad luck involved in that as well.
So much bad luck. So much bad luck. They're saying that your mic is a little bit.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but it is kind of tinny, like a kind of echoey.
I'm sorry.
So it would sound like it seems like maybe like you're using your computer mic as opposed to your mic. So maybe take a look at your settings for audio and see if the right mic is coming through.
Okay, give me a second. You keep talking. I'm going to mute myself for a second.
Keep talking. So obviously Sarah, yes, and Emily and Danny are all like, we need to win here, and I actually like, as much as like I preferred Kiki over Emily this season. I did like Emily in her original season, and I don't mind Emily and yes working with Sarah and Danny. I'm like kind of like they're kind of anti Team USA, and so I'm kind of into these people still wanting to work together, and we all called it, but I kind of love that Sarah had no intention of upholding her end of the bargain if Emily and yes didn't win. Let's hear it. Now I don't hear you at all. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Okay,
That's weird. Oh, now I hear you. Go ahead.
this is not good. So sorry.
I think it sounds better though. Maybe I'm just thinking something.
Apologies.
We'll see next time.
Nice.
So yeah, so I was just saying that like Sarah was not planning on upholding her end of the bargain here with voting in Emily next. I kind of loved it. I was
Yeah,
like,
me
whatever,
too.
make the deal, go back on it later. Can bounce checks apparently in the challenge house. Who knew?
Who knew?
Which is great because I'm like, I'm sick of people. We were going to talk about honor, honor, honor. It's like, do you know what? This is a game for a lot of money. Like, screw your friends and apologize later. I'm very much tired of this honorable game. It's really, really
And you can
boring.
say at the end of the day, you can say, it's come to this point, what am I supposed to do? Like
Yeah.
it's sort of like you always get to that point in the game. Like Casey obviously knows that she's gonna be second fiddle to Tori and Jordan, you know?
Mm-hmm. So Darrell obviously has to win or he's going in, which is also really annoying. At least he knows this, but it's
Yeah.
like I don't like them being in the position where it's like everybody's against them. And yes, to the underdog, we want them to do well, but it's just so unlikely that that is going to happen, especially when we get to the daily challenge, which is called Points Break, which is a swimming challenge where there are 6 floating platforms with puzzle pieces on them. You have to go to each of the platforms, bring your puzzle piece in, and solve the answer. Solve an answer after you solve the puzzle. So it's a swimming challenge. We're going to expect that Yes and Emily are going to do quite well. Each team had their own designated color that they had to go for. What do you think of? Oh yeah, and there is only 3 checks when you finish the puzzle.
Yes.
There's 3 checks for the final question, and they're going to be tethered together. So, what were your overall thoughts of this daily?
I liked the daily, and obviously we knew Emily and Guess were going to be at an advantage, but she just dragged him along. But no, I liked it. It was so unfortunate the way it panned out because at the end it could have been anyone that lost. You know?
Say that last bit again.
It could have been anyone that lost.
Oh,
at the end, and so that was upsetting for me. But I enjoyed the challenge.
What was I thought it was actually pretty good. I was pretty surprised by how well Kaz and Jordan were doing because basically they got a wrong puzzle piece. They brought in Darrell and Kiki's puzzle piece by accident, apparently, and they were still able to be in second place in contention of the win and just being off by seemingly could be an editing trick, but a few seconds they were off by Yes and Emily getting the W here. So what did you think about the fact that they got this wrong puzzle piece? And in all the confessionals, you see Kaz being like, "Oh, Jordan, look at you! You made a mistake. You're not perfect." What did you think about all this? I'm going to say acting.
It was hilarious and amazing, and I just love that he made a mistake like that because it was like he had to acknowledge it, and I appreciated that he finally did acknowledge it. You know what I mean?
Finally did. So yeah, Tori's obviously upset for the fact that, like, you know, if they want to get Emily and Yes out, and they're getting a swimming challenge. So chances are they're not going to be winning against an Olympic swimmer. Tori does teach Danny the squid technique. Have you heard of the squid technique before?
I have not heard of the squid technique.
Me
By the way,
neither.
do I sound different now?
Not much.
Really? I literally switched the microphone.
It's better. It is better. It's less echoey.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry, everyone.
No, it's definitely better. It's definitely
okay.
better. Don't want to make you feel bad.
Sorry, what did you ask?
I asked, hello, Matthew. I thought you might change your name here or something. I didn't know it's just going to be plain old boring Matthew this evening.
Yeah, plain old for today. Nobody I'm really standing too much after this episode, so we'll see. Maybe next week.
Well, we did start with a mini Tory rant. Did you want to add to that now, or do you want to wait till later? We're basically on the daily, so you can talk about either.
Um, not even so much a Tory rant, more just kind of a rant about like where the challenge is at right now, which is like Tori is a big part of that. But just like the lack of drive for a lot of the mainstays of the show to actually win the show, it's very frustrating. And I do think Tori is like at the forefront of that. I wouldn't say she's the only one, but for me, like I personally would rather watch a show where the people on the show want to win, or at least will care if they lose. And it seems like Tori, amongst others, just does not really care because A, they know that one of their friends will win if they don't, and B, they know they're coming back next season anyways. So yeah, between Tori and Jordan this episode, it's definitely not super exciting TV.
No.
None.
It just
None
aggravated,
at all.
really.
I thought it was smart though in the daily how Jordan was swimming in Emily's drag. I thought that was a smart technique to be able to have like a nice path to be able to just follow behind someone that's going to just like clear away the water for him, or for both of them, basically. So I thought that was really smart. I was pretty upset. Oh, now I have an echo. Boo.
Something's
hear
in the
that,
water
Bo?
today.
I was hearing like a bit of static. I don't know if it's like just on my end or not, but
I don't
hopefully
hear
it's just
static.
my head. Okay, good. Might
Echo
just be my headphones.
seemingly gone. Okay, good. How frustrated were you that Kiki has asthma? And I'm like, no, Kiki, like you need to win this one, or not come in last to have a chance of not going into elimination.
Yeah, it really sucks. And they got that advantage by Jordan making the mistake, and so
I thought that was going to help them.
I thought so too. I had hope, but
so Jordan knew that the question was going to be how many triangles in the completed puzzle. I mean, it's pretty obvious that that's what the question is going to be. Some people are speculating that people would have, like, production might have tipped him off to know that, but like we just saw it on Survivor like last season.
It's a pretty typical type of thing. But my whole question is, when did Tori and Danny and Casey and Troy hadn't done it yet? Do you think that Jordan gave them the answer? Or do you think Emily gave the answer to Sarah? Like, do we think that there was like, I think they figured it out, but do you know what I mean? Like, do we think there was anything going on in there? I didn't see anything, obviously.
We didn't see anything. They wouldn't show that if that happened.
Yeah. But
I was thinking about it when it was happening. I was looking to see if anybody was going to help another team out, but I didn't see anything.
Yeah, maybe not.
I don't see why they wouldn't have told them the answer, and like knowing like the production of the challenge, I don't think they would have restricted it.
Yeah.
Because like they do that all the time in elimination. So
exactly.
I'd honestly be surprised if Jordan or whoever, like if all these teams really didn't give the answers to their allies, which makes sense even more why Darrell and hi Joanne. Yeah, it makes sense like why Darrell and Kiki would have lost for sure, because they don't really have an ally.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, to me, it was kind of obvious they were going to come in last because I just figured the other teams would help each other. And I just wish they didn't have the same answer for all the teams, so you could avoid that. You don't even have to worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
If it could have been slightly different, where one has 14 or different shapes or whatever, like equal in terms of difficulty, but maybe a different number. But it is what it is.
It is what it is. Now, actually, we'll talk about it later. So I thought it was actually very funny, though, when Jordan made the mistake, and he sees Darrell swimming, and he's like, hey, I got a piece for you. Like, will you give, like to go and get another piece and, like, to make it even? And Darrell's like, no, man, thanks for the help. And just is, like, continuing onward. I thought it was pretty interesting that Jordan would even ask.
What? Why would you even ask that?
Just don't know. I don't know.
Unhinged.
Not like nobody's ever gonna say yes. To be like, sorry, that's your loss, babe. Your loss. So Yes and Emily do manage to get all the puzzle pieces in first. Jordan and Kaz are able to catch up. And then they're kind of going back and forth with their guesses, starting with 13, then 11, then 14. And then on their third try, Yes and Emily do get it correct. There is 16 triangles within the puzzle that they solve. And seemingly like a second later, we see Jordan and Kaz also solve this puzzle. So that means that you know who's going to be going in. Casey and Troy against whoever is in the bottom. And this time it is Darrell and Kiki. I was so annoyed. They had no shot.
They had no shot.
They had no shot. Even with the extra piece, they still had no shot.
Well, if they had gotten it on their first guess, they would have not been last.
Oh,
But,
right. That
yeah.
part. Mm-hmm. Well, Emily loves power, and so her sights are on Troy and Casey. And what is the purpose then of having these teams divided by country? If like there should be maybe that you can't go against your own team or something to force you to work with your own country, because like it's just frustrating that Jordan is basically working with Team USA and Casey is obviously still kind of working with Team USA. And so it just didn't matter anymore their team that they're playing for because of the power part of their partnership was with another country.
I don't know if I 100% agree. Like, it works to the US advantage, obviously, because all the legends, for the most part, besides like Theo or whatever, are US. So it's like, obviously they were going to be able to pull more people in. It was going to be easier that way. But at the same time, to me, it's like how in Challenge USA 2, there was only like 3 people from Amazing Race and they had no chance. And you didn't have to force to work with other people, whatever. Like, I don't know. I just think that like, it is what it is. What annoys me about Emily's decisions, though, is that she's a hypocrite as well. Because she got so mad that Troy or whatever, that they had put the vote on her that one time or whatever, when she had already voted against Kiki like the first time she had an opportunity to. And then since then has done nothing but go against them. So like, I don't understand, like, where's the line then?
Well, and also though, from like episode 1, her and Grant were always like frustrated with Kiki. They
exactly.
made her be the vote, right in the beginning, and so
that's what I'm saying.
Her shot was fired first.
And she's claiming that Troy did a shot first. It's like, no, you're bitter. And she's like, yeah, Kiki, I just don't trust her. You don't trust her because she beat you, and you're an athlete professionally, and she isn't, and so you're bitter about that. Like, just be honest. I don't know. It annoyed me personally.
So obviously after the challenge, Danny and Sarah and Emily are all happy about how everything went, that they're in the power position. They know that they're both going to be safe. I am happy with that part because like, yes. I was like, I didn't actually want Danny and Tori to go in and potentially go home. Like, as much as I'm not a fan of Tori, I still want Danny to do well in this game, despite the fact that, or in spite of the fact that he's with Tori. And so I'm happy that Emily is going to be able to protect them in this situation, most likely. So Danny is happy, though, that there is a chance now that Tori might be losing one of her number ones, because the people that are protected are going to be Sarah and Theo, and then obviously Danny and Tori. And then the only teams left to potentially be going in are going to be Jordan and Kaz, and or Casey and Casey and Troy. And so, that's like, I'm like kind of excited about that. At the chance.
Yeah.
The chance. Losing one of our number ones. So we see Jordan and Casey chatting, which is also really weird. Seeing Casey like talk to so many people this season, I'm like, who is this person?
Honestly, she like, when she was speaking about like Emily's strategy of just like, clear, like what I kind of just said, I was like, yeah, Casey does have moments where she speaks truth. It's like, she's not dumb or anything. She's quite smart. She's just boring,
Casey's like also very good at the game, like the game that's like we're being presented with. It's like she's like the pretty much the ideal player because she's really good physically and people like her for the most part. Like, I know she's been thrown in now twice, but it was kind of unique circumstances that got her in. Like, she's not actually voted in ever. Um, and in the one time she's lost one of these games, like including Big Brother, the only time she's ever lost was because her brother volunteered to go in, and then there was a twist that took her out of the game with him, essentially. So she is very good, but like you said, Michelle, and I completely agree. For like any Casey fans out there, I'm in agreement on this. It's very boring, but like it is effective, and like it will continue to be effective. Like I don't see Casey, like if she comes back on 39, 40, and so on. Like I don't see her going home early really ever.
Yeah.
No. I mean,
No.
I mean, unless people just decide to throw her in, which won't happen because she's always going to have a majority alliance from the very beginning. And she'll be able to, unless she's tethered to somebody and they get in last, like, I just don't see her not going deep into any season that she plays.
Yeah, definitely. And there's going to be seasons, like at some point, there will be a season where a resistance forms and they take shots early, but those shots are not going to be taken at Casey. Like they're going to be taken at
Yeah,
Tori and Bananas over Casey. So
definitely.
when that season does happen, hopefully soon, the shot will 100% go to Tori over Casey. I'm like very confident in that.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys think about after Jordan has this chat and actually, it's Jordan this chat who's talking about the difference between the MVP in the legends and what the legends have is honor.
That was when I began my decline into insanity. I was so enraged. Very irrationally so, I admit. Irrational. But how can you, what? Honor? You literally, the person that you called a terrorist 1 season ago? Okay, great. What? You're partnered with another human being who is actually just as much of a human as you are and is worthy of the same amount of the competition as you are. And
what about your honor of your friendship or your
voice doesn't matter
partnership
at all.
with
Like,
Kaz? Mhm.
It's just it's the part about him in partnerships that I don't like. I prefer Jordan when he is on his own, like a free agent season, fine. But when it's have a partner, like stop. I don't know. That's how I felt.
Matthew, did you have any feelings? Because like I rolled my eyes so hard. I was like, I thought they were gonna stick.
Yeah, I mean, my relationship or my feelings toward Jordan is like it's such a seesaw. Like sometimes I find him to be so entertaining and like I'm rooting for him. And other times he is just like he is so pathetic sometimes. Like with shit like this, it's it's not like I don't know if he believes the words that he's saying because he must understand like him and Bananas are like the two culprits of going on podcasts or on social media and saying that they understand how to be producers on the show. They know how to bring the drama. They know what fans want. This is not what fans want.
Not at all.
Fans don't want to hear you volunteering yourself to strip strategy out of the game. That's not what anyone wants. And it goes back to what I was saying before. It's like all you're doing is telling the fans that actually understand what's going on that you're fine with losing. You're like
Ugh.
when he did it the first time on free agents, everyone loved that because it was a badass move and he was doing it to try to take out Bananas. Now he's doing it for a completely different reason. So if anyone's in the comments later on saying that
Oh,
like
they're
we're
here.
contradicting ourselves,
Yeah.
that like it's not a contradiction in this case because it was awesome when Jordan did it in season 25, but it was a different situation. Now it's now it's just like you're showing I don't care necessarily if I were to lose. Tori's the same way. Like wanting to put yourself in, not caring about your partner. All you're really doing is saying, yeah, if I lose and Tori or Casey win, it's fine. They'll give me 30K. We'll come back next season. Maybe I'll win that one, or we'll just repeat the same cycle. Whereas like Danny and Kaz are like, no, fuck that. Like, we're not necessarily going to be on season 39. So why am I going to let you vote us into elimination? So one, it's different because it's a partnership. Two, it's different because it was badass back in the day when
But it
he
was
was doing it
completely
for a
different.
reason.
It was for himself.
Yeah.
He had a rivalry against Bananas. Bananas was going to be going down there. He's like, I want to be a person of my word. There's my honor here, whatever. I'm throwing myself in there. Let me throw all the kill cards down, and I'm going to go in and be defeated. And this isn't a game, in my opinion, right now, of being like, I'm going to prove that I deserve to be in the game because like I've had an easy ride. Like, no, how to win the game is to get to the final.
Yeah, and like,
And go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, it. Of course, they came around, and it ends up being a stalemate. Like, he ends up not doing that because she's like, "No, you can't," and Danny's like, "No, you can't," to Tori. So it's like, maybe it was all for show or not, but regardless, so annoying, so frustrating, so just not for the right reasons and not exciting. Actually, just aggravating. And
Yeah,
This
and
whole middle section though, when Tori
the
is
middle
like,
section of the episode was awful.
he was like, Tori's like, I'm gonna throw myself in because Danny, you need to prove yourself. You had an easy ride 2 seasons. Like, excuse me? Like, why are you dictating how I should decide like, you're deciding how I should win the season, right? Like, no, you should be my partner. We should try to be avoiding eliminations, trying to get to the end and trying to win against like, and I don't need to go against the best. I want to win the game. I don't want to go against the best. I don't want to go down and prove myself. That's not what it is for me. I know Troy likes the idea of like, I'm going to go down. Like, I want to prove myself. I like competing. But some people are coming here as a business decision. We know they're coming for their family or whatnot. And so staying at elimination gives them a better possibility to get to the end. So the fact that Tori is deciding, like, you know what? I'm going to play around with your money for your family because I think that you had an easy ride getting to the end. I think that's bullshit. I also think it's bullshit that Jordan is deciding that, like, do you know what, Kaz? I don't want to put Tori into the elimination. I don't want to have to vote for whatever. So do you know what? We're gonna have to go down, even though he was the one that messed up that whole puzzle piece situation.
Yeah.
And
that was
they
the
would've
icing on
won.
the cake. It was him. He made the mistake. She kept pace with him. They lost by like 2 seconds, and then he's like, okay, yeah, we're gonna have to go in when you don't even know what the elimination is. It's not fair to her, and he was just talking down to her so much, and it was like Theo noticed it, but he was like, I'm not gonna say anything because like I know it's not gonna make a difference, and like, okay, like I get it, it's a game, but it was just very annoying, and I'm thankful that it didn't come to pass because I was just like, this is so stupid. Like, even if they go in, and I was fine with them going in, just like I'm fine if Danny and Tori had to go in, but like the way they were going about it.
If they get voted in, they get voted in, whatever.
Yeah, it's the opposite
like,
strategy.
Like, I just think the whole Tori wants to feel proud of her game. I wrote down, I hate her. I don't hate anybody. I hate what she's doing in this game, this season. I'm not a fan of at all. But like, you want to feel proud of your game? I thought it's not feeling proud of your game enough that you're doing everything you can for your 2 best friends. Like, that should be enough, you'd think. Like, why do you now have to go down and risk another person's livelihood? Like, we heard in this episode that Danny wants to win this money for his child's college fund. Like, that's not important enough for you to be like, hey, let's stay out of elimination. Let's work together because like he's doing this not just for himself and to get like, I don't know, a nice apartment, a nice car and like new clothes. Like, he's doing it for another human being's livelihood. And it's just like, it pisses me off. Big time. Big effing time. So Tori and Jordan both want to throw themselves in. He was being such an asshole as well. Like, Kaz was right. She's like, I swam my ass off. You screw up. And now you want to throw yourself in because you don't want to say your ex's name and her friend. Like, I know you're friends now with Casey because of last season, but like, are they that close? Have they been on vacation yet? I don't know. Matthew, you might know better than I do.
Jordan and Casey been on vacation. Not that I know of, but like what I will say is like what Jordan and Bananas have been doing the last 2 seasons is like it's smart for their game because they're just joining this like massive vacation alliance where like they're gonna walk to the end as more often than not. But like my problem with all of it is stop telling us that like every season is so cutthroat and like I hate like opening episode and like before the season starts, like you see these people on social media and then like in that opening confessionals, like this season's different. Like look at all the competition. There's like this one's gonna be the most cutthroat season ever. And then these people just sit around and do nothing,
Yeah.
walk to the end, and sure, like for their wallets, it's very smart, but like don't pretend that you're bringing strategy and entertainment when you're sucking all the strategy and entertainment out of the game. That's my big problem with it. Just like I I don't like them like hyping themselves up as like these on-site producers.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jordan was really pissing me off. This was like a very like this was teetering on the wrong side of
Yeah.
Jordan. And I don't know, like honestly, like Jordan will probably win the season
Yeah,
because like
I think so.
he's
Yeah, I don't think
him and
there's
Kaz
anybody
are going to
else.
get to the end now.
Yeah.
Like Yes and Emily, they'll probably go back on their word next week. We
Yeah.
know next week's elimination is going to be a hall brawl.
Yeah.
I mean Emily will be really good in a hall brawl, but Yes, I don't see doing that well in a hall brawl. So if they
He
get
can maybe
into a
beat
hall
Troy.
brawl, yeah, maybe against Troy, but I don't know. I would probably take Troy over ES.
I would too,
But
but that's the only one that I'm like, maybe it could be like his choice shorter, and I don't know.
yeah,
But
so unless like somehow like unless Yes and Emily win the daily, I think Yes and Emily end up going home next week. Jordan and Kaz make the final most likely, and they probably win because Jordan is the best at finals, and he's not with Anissa this time. So, um, it'll be like obviously good for Jordan. Like it'll be good for Kaz in the long run. And my issue with this whole thing is like Tori is not going to care that she loses to Jordan.
no,
And that's the problem there. I don't know. I don't know
and
if
it's
Casey will care.
yeah, and it's the competition of the game, right? It's not even about like sure, like he wants the money for his family, sure, and like everyone has their own reasons for wanting the money. It's not about like what you're gonna do with the money, whatever. It's like the sense of wanting to win and be the best at any time of that season, and like that energy is what we get from the people who like like when Bananas hadn't won yet, and then he was fighting that extra, like that's what I want to see. Like that's what I was starting to see more out of Darrell again, like that like fire and stuff. So it's like so annoying to see kind of the opposite of that at this point. And
So
I just
my
think
suggestion.
what?
My suggestion for a future season. Two suggestions. My
no
my number
vacation
one
allowance
wish,
allowed.
Yeah,
that would be the dream, but like
yeah,
realistic, to be realistic, two options. One would be you have to limit the amount of them that are on consecutive seasons.
yeah,
Like, there's no reason that Tori, Jordan, Casey, Bananas should be like riding to the end of a season together, and then the very next season they're all back.
yeah,
Like, give
exactly.
one of them, give two of them the season off. Like, replace them with someone else. Like, let's change things up a little
Not
bit.
Zach.
I saw that in the comments, and I was just like, "This is triggering."
He was supposed to be on, I think, USA too.
I will say, I actually saw Zach and Jenna were on like some podcast or something, and I saw some clips of it on TikTok or Instagram. They did say that both of them want to come back. Obviously, like I don't like Zach, and I used to like Jenna. I don't really care for her too much anymore. But at least I think Zach would not like let these people like bitch him around. Like he is not just gonna. I don't think
But
he's
he
just gonna
kind of
go
gets
with the
sucky
flow.
sometimes. So like I don't know if that's true. Like he throws some temper tantrums. So I don't know.
Yeah, but I feel like he's more in the mold of like a Fessy where like he doesn't want to be like he will like ride the numbers, but at the end of the day, like he's not going into an elimination.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, I guess he did go into an elimination for Bananas already. Maybe maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we don't need like them back, and I don't necessarily want them back, but yeah, they need to limit the amount of Vacation Alliance that are on seasons. My other idea was if they're gonna just bring them all back, have it be a team season and just make the Vacation Alliance one team. So they have to put one of them has to go into an elimination. Like you have to vote one of your team members into the elimination. Vacation Alliance, you can all work together. You can go to the final together, but in order to get there, you're going to have to vote each other in.
Yeah.
And that's the format. Like it's 3 teams. One of the teams is the Vacation Alliance and eat each other. Have the Vacation Alliance like fracture.
Yeah,
Like
have
there's
to
going to be
vote
like
on each
the
other.
Josh Fessy, Casey Nani side, and then there's the Tori Anissa Jordan side. Which side is going to win within the team? So like if you're going to have them all on, at least do something like that where they can't just all kind of ride the ends together.
Mhm.
So, Crystal, I have to agree with you here. Like, even in any little game that I play, whether it's a game of cards or a board game, like, the only way to make, in my opinion, games be fun is if both sides want to win the game. If you're playing a game with somebody that you're easily can beat, or you have the level isn't balanced of skill level, it's just not fun. And that's what it's happening is for the fact when the Vacation Alliance is all there, it's an unfair advantage to make it completely unbalanced, and it's not enjoyable that there's no opposition. You want opposition in anything in order for there to be tension or in order for there to be stakes. There's no stakes watching these people just maintain their group together and then everybody just trying to penetrate this big group and they can't. It's not fun. And I don't know, this Maya person is obsessed with the Vacation Alliance. I just need to understand why. Why? Because Amaya is saying, or Amaya, some of us like the Vacation Alliance, so no, Chantele. Like, what? Why? What is it about them that you would like?
Like as people, they're fine. It's not
They're
about
fine.
that.
I like Nani.
It's within the game. It's within the game. You know.
Like having a group of people come together. Yes, it's good for their game. I've said it 100 times. Of course, if you're playing the game, you want to have your numbers stacked for yourself. Absolutely. You want to work with your friends. You want to keep your friends in the game and you want to get to the ends with the friends or people that you can beat. Both. I get it. But as an entertainment, like as a viewer, someone that's watched every single episode for the last 25 years, like I want to see people play. I want to see people try to win. I don't want to see just this alliance that is not penetrable. Like it's boring.
Yeah, it's
fucking boring. That's it. I guess Samaya, you like boring.
I think a lot of people, and I don't want to speak for Amaya, but I think like from what I've gathered through Reddit, Twitter, and memes like that, there is a large part of the fan base that they're like part of the reason they're such big fans is because they love people like the big names, like they love CT, they love Bananas, and the Vacation Alliance for the last 5 years have really kept those people safe. Um, and they've kind of welcomed them somewhat into this alliance where, hey, if you're watching the show because you've loved CT and Bananas for the last 15 years, and this Vacation Alliance is just going to not care to take shots at these people that you've come to love and are the faces of the show, like there is a large part of the fan base that loves the people that MTV wants people to love. Like MTV ultimately wants fans to love Bananas and CT and Tori and Jordan. That's why they keep coming back at the end of the day. And there is,
but what
I think,
works though is when we start to miss them, right? Like when CT took a hiatus, we're like, oh my God, CT is coming back. Like what? Like, even Nani took a hiatus and we're like, yes, Nani's like anytime people leave and come back, that's when we like them again.
You know, distance makes the heart grow fonder.
Yeah, what I don't quite understand is like the people that seem to really like the Vacation Alliance, they also don't like Kara's cult, which essentially was the same thing as what's happening with the Vacation Alliance now.
And we were annoyed.
Yeah, like when Kara and her alliance were picking off like the opposition one by one, and they were riding to the end for 3-4 seasons. Everyone, from what I understood, hated that. Like they did not like how Kara and Polly and others were doing that. But now when the same thing is happening, and also like people like Tori and Bananas hated that because they were like the victims of it, and they said this is boring TV. They're ruining the game by this like kind of strategy. But then they implemented the same strategy, and now like there's a huge chunk of the fan base that loves it all of a sudden. So like I understand liking the people. You're entitled to like the people you
For
like,
sure.
but I think people need to admit it is pretty damn boring.
So
Yeah.
boring. So boring. Now, Maya or Amaya, if you want to just correct us on how to pronounce your name, this could be interesting. Alliance versus Alliance versus Alliance. Like that could be a cool season where you had like Kara's cult, you have the Vacation Alliance, you have the Lavender Ladies.
The thing is, there's a little bit of like cross between Kara's cult and like, because like Ashley was kind of part of Kara's cult a little bit. Like you'd have to kind of figure out what those lines are. But I agree. I'm into it because I want all of them to have to put each other in and go against like within themselves and have to do that because like that's just way more exciting to watch.
Way
And
more.
you know what? It would be pretty awesome if like the theme for the season was literally two teams. You got Kara's people and you have Bananas people.
Yeah.
And they're just it's like War of the Worlds. They're separated the whole time, but like you're going in against each other. And whatever the format is.
Remember
Like
when they
two
had that
teams.
Survivor with like Russell and Boston Rob, and they were each like on separate tribes, and they had like their tribes. Do you remember that?
Say that again.
That season of
Yeah.
Survivor where there was like Boston Rob's tribe
Oh, yeah.
and like Russell's tribe. Like it just makes me think of that.
What was it called? Was that Redemption Island?
That was yeah.
People hated that season though.
I know.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah, it was not great.
That would be fun. It's called versus, and maybe throw in the Lavender Ladies. Or is there another like big alliance that I'm misremembering or?
I mean, not big enough. Like it would depend.
Oh
Then there could be. Oh my god! Then there could be the wild cards, and there would be 3 teams. The third team is like West.
No, but then
like,
okay, wild card. They're not. Yeah,
They're-
like Evelyn. People
like,
that are all the
like
outliers are
random.
always going against these.
Kellyanne, like people who have never been in one, like even like Jarrell could be considered for that too. Like it could be like
The outliers of all the
outliers,
alliances.
yeah.
They're never in the alliance. That's actually good.
Yeah.
Hire us, MTV. We'll fix your show. We will fix it. Okay, let's get back to this episode. So we're at the nominations. Then we see, though, that Jordan and Kaz make a deal with Emily and Yes.
Yeah.
So now, do you think that Jordan actually purposefully threw the challenge by getting the wrong puzzle piece? Or do you think it's like kind of revisionist history? It's like, oh, we lost, so we honored the deal.
Yeah. Are you kidding? He was so mad when they lost.
You don't think he was faking?
No.
I don't think
No. He's not that. He's not fake like that.
But what about Kaz though? Because Kaz would have made that deal as well. So, like,
yeah, but obviously that's just in case. Like, obviously it's better for them to win. Like, I don't think. No. Okay. I think they were trying to win.
I do think they were trying to win, but I just thought it was like very interesting. I'm like, convenient now that like he came in second place because he says like we'll lay down for you at the finish line and let you win if that's the case. And so it looks now like, oh, I got a wrong puzzle piece. Like we let you get second or first place.
Yeah.
You know what I don't quite understand, and I think like the show might not be doing a great job of explaining this season.
Mm-hmm.
Why do Jordan and Casey and Tori, why do they care so much to protect Theo? Like, why can't they just throw Theo and Sarah to the wolves here?
That's
like,
what I'm saying.
Like, why? Like, I don't understand why they have to do a stalemate. Like, why does it have to be like, oh, we're putting in like,
no.
It's going to be Casey, but
I think it's because Danny has Sarah as his number 1, and Tori has Jordan as her number 1. So they can't vote those people in. It has to be the other 2, unless Danny were to agree to vote Sarah and Theo in. Same as how she would have to agree for them to vote Jordan and Kaz, right? Is that why?
But why couldn't Jordan and Casey then just be the 2 votes to put in Theo and Sarah? They don't even need Tori's vote for it. if Danny's not willing to do it, like I just don't understand. Like, what is there a closer relationship than we know between Theo and like Jordan? Like,
maybe
to me, it's just very
Kaz
odd.
got one non-negotiable, and maybe that was
Well, we're at
Theo,
Kaz.
and
Oh,
maybe
right, I forgot about Kaz.
yeah. So maybe like okay, you can't have Tristan. That's your number two, but we'll keep Theo safe in this situation. So it might be conversation that we haven't seen, but I think that it's Kaz
Yeah.
keeping Theo safe.
Yeah, I fully forgot about Kaz.
Like kind of important part of that duo. It seems like Jordan forgets about Kaz often as well. We
Yeah.
don't get to a decision here. It was a stalemate. Now, do you think this was a happy accident, or do you think that they planned for the stalemate to happen? Because essentially, they should have been doing a stalemate this entire effing season. Because that is going to be the way to get people, like when Kellyanne and Tristan had power. Like if they could have forced a stalemate, then they could have chosen whomever they wanted to go down against whoever was in the bottom. It's kind of sucks that like we do get the stalemate. We get the threats from TJ being like, oh, you don't want to see a stalemate ever again. And then when we get to the elimination, nothing happens. They should have been forcing a stalemate this whole season, though. That like imagine how different this season would have been.
Do you think next week the winning team will just get to decide who goes into elimination? Because there's only going to be 3 teams eligible to vote anyway, so you have to vote for the other 2. So do
Right.
you
Oh,
think
yeah.
it's going to be like
It's going to be an
automatic
automatic
stalemate?
stalemate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't. How? Because you have to vote for 2 teams.
Yeah. So last place goes in, and then
oh no, maybe
winning
no,
team
no. You
ultimate-
still 2 teams could gang up on 1 team.
Exactly.
Wait, no,
Well, no,
they can't.
No.
they can't.
No, you
You have to
can't.
do 2 teams.
You're right. It's going to be the winning gets to pick. That's got to be what it is.
So yeah, next week is massive for
massive.
If Yes and Emily don't, like Jordan and Kaz will go back on their deal, I think 100%, and they'll throw in Yes and Emily.
Oh my god, yeah.
We're gonna get to like what's gonna happen next week, which I'm interested about. So we get to the elimination. We know that it's gonna be Casey and Troy that Yes and Emily are gonna be throwing in. Emily has just been waiting to have, her 2 Aussie teams that went against her. We hear from TJ that these are the 2 winners of Australia, and I think that probably was like seething underneath Emily's skin that she didn't win that season. And so, yeah, 2 Australian champions are going to be going against each other in Breakthrough. So basically, they had to swing through some puzzle pieces. On the opposite side of the puzzle piece is an equation. So once they both of them swing through and knock down all the pieces, they have to rebuild it and solve the math equation, swing through another more difficult wall. And then whoever finishes, was there another puzzle at the end of that? Yes, and there was another puzzle at the end of that to complete. How'd you guys feel about this elimination challenge?
Oh, it was just so sad. I was frustrated that if Darrell had just subtracted the 529 and had gotten through, they would have smashed through that wall in one go, and there's a chance they could.
How is it? He was doing his math was just challenging though.
Yeah,
like
he was
with
making it way
adrenaline.
harder than it needs to be.
I understand the idea of doing like I forgot what did I write down the equation? What was it? 146 times 32?
Yeah.
Well, anyways, he was doing like, oh, you do 140 times 30, and then that's gonna be 42. Like, and I was like, then you're gonna have to remember all the other things. Like, just you have sand, like literally write it out in the sand and just do. It's a basic grade 3 math equation. Grade 4. Like, just write it out in the sand.
Yeah.
And it would be a lot easier. Do you think that they put this in here thinking that if it was going to be Casey and Troy going down, that they would have like an advantage? No, sorry, not Casey and Troy. Sorry, Yes and Emily. If they were to lose, like, do you think that they were trying to protect them at all? Because Yes is good at no.
No,
I don't think so.
Because we haven't seen that much math this season.
True.
Except for that.
Yeah, but I feel like
one.
Like if I feel like producers would rather Darrell and Kiki win than Yes and Emily. I feel like Darrell is like more of a producer favorite than Yes is.
I'm not sure. I feel like they do him dirty sometimes.
They definitely do, but like the fact that he does get to come back often enough tells me that he has a good rapport, and he's always like a welcome person for them to have.
Well, and it's also like Casey's not good at math at all. And so Troy was able to do this. They've solved the equation, which unlocks a padlock. And then they're able to get through, do the puzzle before Darrell even gets the right 4 numbers to open up his lock. It was really annoying and disappointing. I didn't mind the challenge, but as sad about the execution.
Yeah, I'm sad too.
Yeah, Darrell's math was wrong, and they lose. They're going home pretty close to the final, which is really, really, really sucky.
Yeah.
So, like, is there anybody rootable? Who are we rooting for?
I was actually thinking about that. It's like I
Sarah and
honestly
Theo.
like, yeah, like Sarah. I wouldn't be mad if they won. Like Theo's been kind of quiet this season, and like obviously like Danny is like the one single person I'd be
Yes,
rooting
obviously.
for, but I'm not like none of these pairs like excite me that much. So at this point, like I honestly don't even really care who wins.
I don't really care either. My thought is like, based on this episode, the last few episodes, it seems like Sarah and Theo are not getting a winner's edit or any kind of edit.
They're not in the show.
They're barely in it. Like Sarah's had her moments. Theo's had like one moment. And we know she's doing strategy. We know she's playing the game. But it's like it, and I don't necessarily want to root hard for her or anything, but like at this point, the way the show is being seen, it's a Jordan Kaz. It seems like it's a Jordan Kaz win,
Yeah.
or like potentially Troy and Casey, but probably not. Like,
No.
you know, and then it's like, okay, Yes and Emily are going to be at that big kind of like divide. Either they get eliminated or they're like in the running in the final, but I don't see them winning. Tori and Danny, I think could win, especially because Danny like could do any math problem, like any of that stuff, and like, but there's, you know, depending on how much swimming is involved, depending on how much, you know, it just depends. And Jordan, as you said, is a beast, and Kaz is a great partner, and I don't see a situation where they don't win. And I'm not mad about it necessarily, but I'm just like annoyed, and it's like not very exciting. So I'm not, like I'm rooting for Danny. It would kind of be crazy for them to have never won a daily and then to win the whole thing.
Do it.
But that's like, you know, Danny didn't win very much like in his season, did he? Like USA 2?
I think he won. I can remember one.
Yeah, so it's like he mainly stayed in the shadows, and then, you know, he pulled it out when he needed to. So like, there's still a chance it could happen, but it would be so annoying for Tori to win. But it would kind of be great because I don't know.
They were at odds the whole season, but they still managed to get to the end and win. Riley, I feel like Danny's gonna have this reaction, and his whole fear of the entire season is going to be justified because I feel like Jordan and Kaz are in a better position to win. They figured out, even if they kind of argue, they still can work together well enough. She's able to shut off him being annoying as a partner and like him barking at her. It doesn't phase her. And I think it's because she has martial arts training. And so like she's just used to people just like telling her how to do stuff, and like, you know, just having that like uber masculine testosterone enforced like, you know, training. So I think that she's not phased by how Jordan speaks to her in these kind of situations. So I really feel like they work really well together. They're winning together. They might not be on the same page, but like they both want to win at the end. If they get to the final, they both are going to want to win, and she's going to be able to turn off him being annoying because like, you're at the final now, like, let's just shut up and let's get past the finish line. So they just work better together than Danny and Tori do. And as we've already talked about, Tori doesn't seem like she has the drive to even want to win necessarily. So are they going to be fighting like Bananas and Nani were fighting during the final? It's like, snap out of it, like win, please, but make some stakes here, like have some drive. I agree. I don't know if she's going to have the drive to beat Jordan and Kaz.
And there might be a little bit of like, sorry about it in the back of her mind, if it's even subconsciously, of like kind of wanting it to not work out for Danny. Do you know what I mean? like maybe a little bit. I don't know. I could be wrong, but like I just feel
I
like
actually wouldn't be that upset if Casey and Troy did win, because like
honestly,
I do think that
yeah,
I think they at least deserve it. Like
yeah,
Casey's now been in 3 eliminations. Like they're actually like, to me, they're playing like a little bit more than like Jordan and Tori are in terms of like not like, I mean, they're working together at least, whereas like Jordan and Tori are not really like willing to work with their partners in
yeah.
certain situations. So Casey and Troy wouldn't bother me that much. Like I wouldn't say I'm rooting for them, but I think I'd prefer them to win over Tori and Danny, as much as I love Danny, and Jordan and Kaz. And I don't love Kaz, but like she's okay.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it's tough. I mean, on like Yes and Emily, I'd be okay with them winning. I just don't see any scenario that that happens.
Cringe! Oh my gosh. So Debu's telling, basically saying to Danny, don't pick Jordan, Jordan's ally next time, not rocket science. Well, firstly, from what we know is that they hadn't seen 38, so they didn't see that they worked
Yeah,
together, that they kind of rekindled their relationship. The last thing that they knew was they're kind of blasting each other on social media,
yeah,
not speaking for a year and a half, and they were against each other. And so they didn't even know necessarily that they're going to be on the same season as each other. So like I understand Kiki,
mhm.
Danny's wife, being like, no, work with Tori. Because yes, I would want to work with Tori if she doesn't have all these people that she needs to protect that are on different teams.
Yeah,
I would want to work with her as well, but with the format of the season, it didn't benefit him to work with Tori here. And if he had known a little bit more information, like, ooh, you're gonna have to worry about Casey and worry about Jordan, of people that Tori's gonna want to protect, he might have made a different decision, but he didn't have all the information. So I don't behoove him for deciding to go for Tori as a partner. She just
exactly.
won, you know?
Yeah, I will say I do think like it was a slight mistake by Danny. No offense, Danny, but I do think it was a slight mistake because if he truly like didn't know like all of these things, which like I believe him that he didn't know, he should have known. Like there's all these spoiler accounts. Like if you're going on a season, like you should probably know like who won the previous season, because there are ways to know. Like I mean, obviously he knew she won, but like I feel like he could have known that she was working with Jordan. Also, like they were there. There was like a few weeks beforehand where there's all the pre-gaming, and I'm sure everyone does it. Plus, like they didn't pick their partners before, like on day zero, right? Like they picked
Well,
their
and they
partners
also,
after a
though,
couple of days.
everybody thought that the legends were going to be picking the MVPs, not the other way around.
Yeah,
So I don't think that he might have strategized that way. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
Maya here is saying that they were still basically still fighting when they went to go film this. So they wouldn't have seen that they were on better terms at the end of the season. And they weren't even on that great of a terms at the end of the season. Like that
that's
was
the
still a
thing. They
terrorist
weren't.
time. Maybe it's the fact that she did grease him with $38,000 or whatever it is for this new tradition bullshit. But like he hadn't seen that they'd come full circle and kind of
And
were.
even like that happening at the end, it wouldn't necessarily. Like, I imagine he wouldn't be looking out for that necessarily. But I agree. Like he could have made a different decision and like
yeah. I think like what you have to do is like knowing that like Bananas, Darrell, Casey, like all these people were on the past season. Like I think like what you have to be doing between day zero and like the choosing of teams is just like get an understanding of, hey, like what happened last season? Like what did I miss over those last 12 episodes? And then like Darrell or Casey or Bananas or Tori or whoever tells you like, oh yeah, like Jordan and Tori are working well together. Like Tori won, gave Jordan 38K. And then Danny would know that. And then he could have made like a better decision. And maybe if he did know that and do those things, he would have chose differently. So like I agree that like Danny didn't know and he made the right decision based on what he did know. But I do think like if he could go back in time, like I'm sure he would have done more to know more about what was going on over the 6 months prior.
So do you think so? He would have then had the opportunity then to choose um, Jody, Kellyanne,
Or
Amber,
Naya.
E,
Yeah,
Naya.
Amber, yeah. I think like I think he definitely would have done so if he knew that there was no way Tori was ever going against Jordan and Casey and Bananas.
And even though
Um,
I think that like Naya would have been a great partner, I can see based on just seeing her seasons, thinking she wouldn't be the best partner. You know?
Well, not in this last challenge. I think they both would have been. That wouldn't have been great for them.
Yeah.
We do see a little sneak peek for the next episode, and it looks like Jordan might. I don't know. Is he considering throwing or saying Danny and Tori's name? They're getting in some sort of fight, and I'm kind of here for it because like she's been riding for him all season, and like if he's like, I don't know, if he stabs her in the back, I'll have to laugh.
yeah, I doubt it. I feel like it's gonna be a situation where like Jordan and Kaz win the daily,
Yeah.
and like maybe like Tori is saying like, "Oh, you have to put in Yes and Emily," and Jordan's like, "Oh no, we made a deal," and he's gonna like contemplate it, and then they're gonna get in a dispute about it, and then Jordan will end up like putting in Yes and Emily.
Yeah.
That's my call.
100%. But does that mean that you're assuming that
They're winning.
but who loses? Like Troy
Or
and Casey.
maybe Danny and
That's
Tori lose and like who they're gonna go against, maybe.
It'd be that. Yeah, it could be that where it's like, well, Jordan, I don't want to go against Casey, or I don't want to go against
Yeah.
like we don't want to go against Theo and Sarah.
And we
Oh,
don't want to
right.
go
You have
against
to put in
Emily
Yes
and
and Emily.
yeah.
That could be it.
I am excited though to see how next week ends up. I kind of don't care about who wins though, which is really unfortunate. All my rootable people are gone, but that's
Honestly,
the way this cookie crumbles.
all I really care about is all I want is for Yes and Emily to not go home next week.
Yeah.
Um it's like I don't care if they win or not. I just want them to make the final and to like see these 4 US teams have to go at each other in like I consider Jordan part of the US team at this point. To like see them have to go against each other in some formats and not just like have Yes and Emily go home. So that's all I really would want for next week.
Yeah.
So Krista wants to know if we've listened to Jody on the Most Likely to podcast yet.
Oh.
I've not.
I did, yes.
How, is it worth listening to?
It was pretty incredible. Like she was making fun of Bananas, like calling him a baby, saying that like you don't want to meet your heroes because you like meet this guy and he's just like miserable, and she was kind of going at him a little bit, which was quite nice.
I love
That was
that.
the highlight of it.
I'm definitely gonna listen to it. Because I enjoyed the Kellyanne one, and Jody just brings some realness, and like as she was there like before / same time as Bananas back in the day, so it's like there should have been some more connection and rapport between them, but he just stuck with the vacation peeps.
Yeah, she talks about that a lot too, where she like how Bananas like she knew him before he was Bananas, and she was excited to see him after all this time, and then when she got to see him again, he was just an asshole and she did not enjoy spending time with him, which has been a common theme that's come up from a few different people.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jody was good. And Jody also said that she's like currently not working and she's open to doing more seasons over the next few years.
Yay!
And she
well, because
she
her
said that
kids
they
are like
didn't-
older now, you know, they don't need her as
Yeah.
much.
They didn't call her for All Stars 4, and she said I was available and I was ready to go, but they didn't call me. So that was a bit unfortunate.
Travesty.
Honestly, if we could have seen like now, like Jody and Danny would have been such a solid team. She really needed like a strong teammate because she's strong. I just think that would have been epic. They both would have.
They would have been thrown into eliminations
Yeah,
for
for
sure,
sure.
but like they would have been so fun in eliminations. Like they would have
Yeah.
been such a dominant team.
Yeah. Oh, it would have been so good.
Yeah.
So good. I'm definitely gonna go listen to it because I want to hear about her and Benha and see like what they didn't like each other. Like I thought like hate really. Anyways, I'm interested to hear what she has to say for sure. Now, is there anything else left in this episode that you guys want to chat about before we say sayonara?
I do have one thing.
Oh yes.
It doesn't have to do with the episode, but one of my favorite trolls had reached out to me a few days ago on Instagram in a direct message and asked me why I hate women so much. So I basically had responded and said, shout out Noah. But I basically responded and said, you know what? Thank you for watching. Like, I'm glad you enjoy the show. I don't hate women, first of all. I love women and I cheer for women very frequently on this podcast, on this channel, and on the show. So I actually made a list of my top 10 favorite female challengers of all time. I was on the subway going to work this morning, and I decided, you know what? We're gonna do the show tonight. So I want to present my top 10 favorite female challengers of all time. Not only am I going to present my top 10, I have 8 honorable mentions because I love women on the challenge so much. So shout out to these 8 honorable mentions. Amber B. She could crack the top 10 someday.
Mhm.
Casey Cooper. I love her. Davon. Love you too.
Yeah.
John A. Katie. Kellyanne. Laurel, and Marie. So that's my honorable mention.
Wow.
Marie gets there?
Number 10, we have Paula Walnuts.
Okay.
Yes, Paula Walnuts.
I love Paula. Number 9, I have Big T. Love Big T.
You love Big T.
Modern legend. I hope she comes back. Number 8, I love Teresa. So was really excited to see Teresa back a few seasons ago. Hopefully she'll come up on All Stars.
Heat.
Yeah, she brings the heat. I love her. Very attractive. Would hook up in her early days. Came back, brought some fire. 7, I've got Killa Cam. 6, Ashley Mitchell.
Yes.
Top 5, we've got Evelyn at 5. 4, Amanda Garcia. 3, Coral. 2, DM. And my number 1 favorite female challenger is Veronica. So there's 18 female challengers that I absolutely love. And I had a list of about 40, and I had to narrow it down to 18. So yes, I don't love Tori. I don't love Casey. I don't love Nani and Anissa right now. But there are plenty of women on the challenge that I love. And just looking back to last season, the 2 people I was kind of cheering for the most were Nerys and Olivia. So I love them. They could crack the honorable mention list very soon.
Yeah.
So for anyone like Noah that thinks I don't love women on the challenge, you're wrong. There's 18 that I love. If you want more, shoot me a message on Twitter or Instagram, and I can give you more that I love.
I'm obsessed. Well, that list is so chaotic. Like the order. Amanda number 4, Laurel and honorable mention. I'm obsessed with those choices. Yes, 100% yes.
Yeah,
wow.
it was very hard to make that list because there's so many great ones.
I'm gonna have to make my list for next week.
And I will say, Big T cracking the top 10. The main reason she cracked the top 10, because I think she's only done 3 seasons, but the reason she cracked the top 10 is because of that move where she put in Anissa against Tori, where she like single-handedly did it. And it's like, hey, I'm not just going to let these vets dictate the game. So if more people do stuff like that, they will crack my top 10 list. So like people like Amber B, Olivia, Nerys, like people that I like that are close. Michelle, if you want to make the top 10, just make big moves like that, and you'll soon be there.
Oh my God, I'm obsessed.
Okay, we'll see. The people want to hear our list, so we'll think about it for next week. It might be a little bit different next week because it's going to be Robin's podcast is going to be in Toronto, and we're going to be participating in the activities and festivities. So I'm not sure when we will do our pod for next week's episode, but it will happen at some point. So, and hopefully we can get our list in on one of those days. Well, thank you everybody in the chat for being here. You guys are awesome in the chat. I'm glad that you enjoy and ally and love Matthew's list here and his love for women on the challenge. Ooh, Mount Rushmore. Yes. Angel Cake, Drew just did a Mount Rushmore of people of the challenge. So I'm going to do a list. So I'll just follow up on my top 18 And we'll get my 18 honorable mentions and top 10. I'll do my list as well. And Michelle, if you have a chance,
Oh yeah.
do yours as well. And we'll do a little comparison maybe next week, because there's probably not going to be that much to talk about. So yeah, we'll fill in the gaps with that. Well, thank you both also for being here. Everybody in the chat, you guys are amazing. Thanks for Danny for stopping in and giving your 2 cents. And we'll see everybody next week. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video, and let's hear your list. Who's your top 10 female challengers? We want to hear your order, because we want things to get messy. We want the fights in the comments, because like I probably won't agree with most people's top 10 or number 1 anyways. I'll probably be like,
It's hard to pick a number 1, man.
I know.
Head, so.
I'm pumped. Anyways, we'll see everybody next week. Bye.